Workers entering this country legally finding themselves in the middle of human trafficking schemes.
These are the labor trafficking crimes the I-Team continues to investigate. Sean Gallagher sitting down with someone who knows firsthand how difficult these cases are to prosecute.
In the last few years, human trafficking has become more well known, but a lot of people only think about the sex trafficking side of it. They don't think that labor crimes can be involved. But that can mean big business, and it's happening all across America, including right here in Wisconsin.
I think the general consensus is a sex trafficker will get hit harder, and it's more risky to be a sex trafficker than it is to traffic labor.
Is this one of those kind of things that flies under the radar?
It does. And, in a lot of these businesses are legit businesses.
Workers entering the country with temporary visas finding themselves trapped in an unfamiliar location with seemingly no one to turn to. Sounds like a modern day slavery almost.
In a sense, yes.
Ken Peters is a retired Wisconsin Department of Justice special agent with experience investigating human trafficking crimes. He asked us not to show his face because of his previous undercover work. Peters tells us it's a crime that's difficult to prosecute. The end users are often respected businesses. The workers are often brought there legitimately.
What you see the most of the time is third-party individuals that traffic the people for labor. And the end user is always looking for maybe a good deal to get some cheap labor.
In 2019, the labor group Garcia and Sons was federally charged with labor trafficking crimes, accused of transporting Mexican nationals from Georgia to Wisconsin, where they worked on a farm here in Mount Pleasant. But the farm owners and staff were not named in the federal indictment. Last year, the I-Team broke the story where investigators uncovered a scheme bringing foreign nationals to work here at the Walworth County Fairgrounds, outside of where their visas allowed. So far, one person has been federally charged in this case. The general manager tells the I-Team they were misled by a third-party service and plan to never use visa workers again.
There are occasions where the end user does not know. There are third parties that disguise themselves as temp services.
What would you need to see to know that, they knew what they were doing?
That the third party violated either state or federal law regarding labor laws, labor trafficking laws, and that the end user knowingly used that labor force knowing that it was a violation of law.
Who would question that those very successful, lucrative businesses would, would be connected to anything in terms of trafficking victims?
Mariana Rodriguez is with the UMOS Latina Resource Center, which helps victims of trafficking get away from and bring justice to their traffickers. She says part of the problem is the visas used to bring individuals legally into the country are easily exploited once the workers cross the border.
That's how traffickers work. Contractually, they should be provided lodging, they should be provided food, and so the contractor will then manipulate that.
The FBI reports there have been 20 labor trafficking cases in Wisconsin from 2017 to 2019, according to the most recent crime data available. Peters says that data doesn't tell the whole story.
I think it's a larger number than is reported because this is a crime that's not reported a lot.
We asked Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul about his office's efforts to fight labor trafficking. He echoed Peters' claims about the difficulty prosecuting traffickers.
We are encouraging them to report so that we can go after the people who are committing the serious crime here, which is human trafficking.
Peters says the victims may not come forward in fear of losing the opportunity to make money for their families. And it's a problem he says many people aren't paying attention to, something he is trying to change.
There's very little talked about regarding labor trafficking. And that's where I think it's the awareness is where we need to start to let people know that it is an issue.
Peters says another challenge is the length of time it takes to build one of these cases, plus the fact that the workers involved may be out of the country within a few months. But he says the more people who are aware of what this is, the better chance they have of these illegal labor practices being both recognized and reported. Reporting for the I-Team, I'm Sean Gallagher.
To better help you understand what these crimes are and how you can report them, the I-Team has published a list of information on our website. Just look for this story on the TMJ4.com homepage.